So you want to sit half of your bum on the block and half of it rolling forward. So, and then you're crossing your legs in front of you and come into a cross-legged position into the mat, okay? Okay, so we're activating the core muscle. Just remember on activating the core muscle properly, because we're gonna use it very much on the next, later on the class. So you want to pull the pelvic floor up, okay? So you're doing that by sucking the belly button towards the spine, and then you're doing this pulling up of the pelvic floor where you're clenching your bum hole but keeping the glutes relaxed. By clenching the bum hole, you're sort of closing the anal sphincter and you're pulling up, and that allows the whole area of the pelvic floor to be activated. And then open the chest, tuck the chin under, and this activates the upper part of the spine, okay? And then as you're sitting up like this, you want to engage with the breath. So inhaling to the count of 4, 5, exhaling to the count of 5. You're breathing through the nose only, and you're trying to lengthen the breath. So it's the same length on the inhale as it is on the exhale. So inhaling through the nose to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. So we're aiming to have nice and long breaths throughout the rest of the class to basically be able to activate the vagus nerve that is helping the body to relax, okay? And then interlace the fingers in front of you, stretch the arms in front, looking at the palms, and then on the inhale, you're pushing the palms away from you, straightening the arms. On the exhale, you're bringing your hands up towards the ceiling, roll the shoulders away from you, squeeze the shoulder blades together, try to keep the arms as straight as you can. And then watch what's happening to the belly. Try to suck the belly button in towards the spine. Right. He's not interested. And then you're keeping your left arm up towards the ceiling on the inhale, bring your right arm down towards the floor. Exhale here, inhale, lengthen the left side of the body, bending the right elbow, you're leaning towards your right, looking down towards your left armpit. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And inhale, come back to the center, left hand by the block, right hand up towards the ceiling on the exhale. On the inhale, lengthen the right side. On the exhale, you're bending the left elbow, leaning on the left side, looking towards your right armpit. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, right hand behind you, left hand over the right knee. Inhale, suck the belly in, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist towards your right, chin parallel to the floor, and you're looking towards your right shoulder. On the inhale, you're lengthening the spine, so you're not leaning on your right arm. On the exhale, you're using your arms to twist towards your right. And inhale, come back to the center, left hand behind you, right hand over the left knee. Inhale, suck the belly in, lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist towards your left, chin parallel to the floor, and you're looking towards your left shoulder. Lengthening the breath, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then come back to the center, get rid of the block, but put it somewhere where you can reach it easily during the class. And come on your fours, hands directly underneath the shoulders, shoulder width apart, knees directly underneath the hips, hip width apart. On the next inhale, you're looking forward, curve the back towards the floor, push the bum out. Exhale, curve the back towards the ceiling, push the bum towards your hands, looking down towards your knees, activating the abdominals. Inhale, look forward, curve the back towards the floor, push the bum out. Exhale, curve the back towards the ceiling, push the bum towards your hands, looking down towards your knees. And do it a couple of more times, following your breath. So on the inhale you do one movement, on the exhale you do the other movement. And then come back on a tabletop on the inhale, on the exhale, tuck your toes under and push the bum up towards the ceiling, looking down towards your feet. On the inhale, you're bending the right knee, transferring the weight onto the left leg. On the exhale, you're bending the left knee, transferring the weight onto the right, trying to straighten the right leg. On the inhale, you're bending one knee. On the exhale, you're bending the other knee, so you're walking on the spot. Allowing enough time to sort of basically stretch the back of the legs. And then on the next inhale, look towards your hands, bend the knees, start walking your feet towards your hands. Once you reach the hands, keep your feet hip-width apart. Grab hold of the opposite elbow. Inhale, look forward, lengthen the spine, bend the knees. Exhale, fold forward. You can rest the torso on the thighs, letting go of the head. Nod your head a couple of times. Letting go of the head. So you're pointing the top of the head down towards the floor, and then you're turning the head right and left. And then bring your body towards the right leg and towards the left. And then inhale, come back to the center, let go of the hands on the block, bend the knees if the legs were straight, tuck your chin to the chest, and exhale, you're coming up into a standing position, head last to come up. Come to the top of the mat. We're gonna do the mountain pose. Big toes are touching, feet together. You're bringing the weight into the middle of the feet, so you're not leaning too much on the toes, neither on the heels. Somewhere in the middle, and then start activating the thighs by pulling the kneecaps up. Now you're activating again that core muscle by tucking the pelvis under, and you're tucking the pelvis under until you're feeling a tightness into the lower abdominal area. Suck the belly in, open the chest, tuck the chin under, arms by your sides with the hands active, pointing down towards the floor. And then you're looking just beyond the nose, feeling the whole body activated. Obviously, when you're standing, you're also aiming to be standing like this, where the core muscle is engaged, the thighs are engaged, the glute is engaged, okay? And then bring your hands in front of your chest, close your eyes, and just set your intention for your class today. But also remind yourself that you want to focus as much as you can your mind to the breath. So we're also not only training the body, but we're also training the mind in the next hour. And then open your eyes. We're going to do 3 sun salutations. The first one we're going to do together at a basic level, and then you can progress to your stage. Otherwise, I just go up 1 notch at a time, okay? Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Look up at the hands, suck the belly in. Exhale, you're folding forward at the hips, bringing your hands either on the shin, the ankle, or the mat. On the next inhale, press through the hands, look forward, lengthen the spine. Exhale, bend the knees so you can touch the hands on the mat. Step the right leg out into a lunge, left leg to meet it into a high plank. Now we're setting the plank. We're bringing the shoulders above the wrist, pushing the heels away from us. So we're trying to bring one long line between the heels and the head. Squeeze the glutes, pull the kneecaps up, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, knees to the floor. Leading with the chest, we're bringing the chest down to the floor, rubbing the elbows by the rib cage. Hands underneath the shoulders, top of the feet on the mat. On the next inhale, peel the chest off the floor, roll the shoulders away from you, look forward. Exhale, tuck your toes under, come into your hands and knees. Bring the seat towards your heels and you're coming up into a downward dog. Stepping your feet forward, keeping them hip-width apart so that you're trying to bring the heels down towards the floor. We're focusing on the legs at this point.
So you're aiming to bring the heels down towards the floor with the legs as straight as you can. But if you're struggling with that or your legs are trembling, you can bend the knees, push the bum up, and then try very gently to release the heels down towards the floor until you feel comfortable, okay? So you should feel a stretch at the back of the leg, but no pain. Inhale into the count of 5, exhale into the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, look towards your hands, bend the knees, start walking your feet towards your hands. Once you've reached the hands, keep your feet together. Exhale, you're folding forward, letting go of the head. On the next inhale, come up a little bit so you can engage the core. Bring the hands up towards the ceiling and exhale, hands by your sides. Second one, inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, press through the hands, look forward. Exhale, hands on the mat at a step or jump into a plank. Inhale, set the plank. Exhale at a low plank or knees to the floor. If you're coming into a low plank, you're bending halfway down, chest forward. Inhale, push the hands, push the body through the hands, and then you're straightening the arms. Roll the shoulders away from you, look forward. So the chest is forward, you're not here, you're here. And then tuck your toes under on the exhale, coming into a downward dog. Adjusting the feet as you did the first time round. Now we're focusing on the torso. So your hands are as wide as the shoulders, fingers nice and spread, wrists in line with the top of the mat. And now roll the shoulders away from you, squeeze the shoulder blades together. First of all, we're going to tilt the pelvis under so that you're not overarching your back. And then once you've set the lower pelvic area, then you're pushing your hands away from you, trying to bring the torso towards the thighs. Inhale into the count of 5, exhale into the count of 5. Last breath here, inhale into the count of 5, exhale into the count of 5. On the next inhale, you're looking towards your hands. If you want, you can jump to the top of the mat by coming on your tiptoes, bending the knees, try to land in between the hands with the legs as straight as you can. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, engage the core, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, exhale, hands by your sides. Last one. Inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, press through the hands, look forward. Exhale, hands on the mat at a step or jump into a plank. Inhale, set the plank. Exhale at a low plank or knees to the floor. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, down dog. Bring all the elements together of the posture. And really get the best out of it by sort of really going into the best you can into the posture, putting all the elements together. Inhale into the count of 5, exhale into the count of 5. You can also point the top of the head down towards the floor, using the weight of the head to stretch the neck. And then on the next inhale, you're looking towards your hands at a step or jump to the top of the mat. Exhale, you're folding forward. Inhale, engage the core, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, and exhale, hands by your sides. Okay, so now we're gonna do a couple of poses standing, most of them standing, and then we're gonna do 3 poses for long periods of time on sitting, okay? So you start with the feet hip-width apart, hands on the hips, and we're gonna fold forward. So on the next inhale, open the chest, engage the core muscle, and on the exhale, you're folding forward at the hips. Now you can bend the knees here, and you can grab hold of the big toes with the index and the middle finger. And then on the next inhale, push the chest forward, lengthen the spine. On the exhale, let go of the head. And then you're bending the elbows flopping them to the sides. Try to point the top of the head down towards the floor. If you've got any issues with your back, just bend the knees and rest the torso on the thighs. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Once you're pointing the head down towards the floor, then you can sort of straighten the legs if you want to. And then with the hands and with the toes, you're basically trying to pull with the fingers the big toe up, but you're pressing down with the big toe. So that sort of activates the arms and you're pushing the chest forward. So that activates the whole of your core muscle. One more breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. And on the next inhale, come halfway up. Place your hands on the hips. And very gently bending the knees slightly, you're coming all the way up. Just give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, so now we're going to do the triangle pose. So we're placing the hands. So just remember, the next few moves are the ones that basically engage the whole of your chakras, okay? So try to maintain the posture as well as you can, and then you activate all of the chakras, so all the way from the pelvic floor to the top of your crown of the head, okay? And also I forgot to do the disclaimer, so I'm going to do it now. So when you participate in any exercise or exercise program, there is the possibility of physical injury. If you voluntarily engage in this class, you agree that you do so at your own risk and assume all risk of injury to yourself. Sorry, I forgot. Okay, so feet together, hands on the hips. You're stepping with the right foot 2/3 of the mat, turning the toes towards the top right corner of your mat. Legs are straight. And then the right heel is on the floor and you're pulling the kneecaps up. So you're trying to keep the legs always straight, okay? On the next inhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor. On the exhale, you're leaning forward. So you're trying to create a space between the torso and the left thigh. And then you're placing your hands on the shin or on the inside of the ankle, bringing your right arm up towards the ceiling. The first thing we want to do is start to secure that the legs are straight. So on the next inhale, you're pulling the kneecaps up, straightening the legs. On the exhale, sucking the belly in, you're turning the torso towards your right. Keep your right hand up, pointing up towards the ceiling. The palms are facing away from you. And now from this position, keeping the hands pointing up, you're rolling that right shoulder back, so the shoulder blade comes towards the spine. And now on the next inhale, suck the belly in, lengthen the left side of your rib cage, so you're not collapsing down. And on the exhale, you're turning the torso towards your left. So you're aiming at keeping your torso parallel to the floor and turning the torso towards the right. You're looking either straight ahead or towards your right hand. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Make sure the legs are still straight. And then on the next inhale, you're looking down towards the floor. Exhale, you're bringing your hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, hands on the hips. And exhale, you're stepping to the front of the mat. Now, coming back to the top of the mat. Feet together, hands on the hips. You're stepping with the left foot 2/3 of the mat, turning the toes towards the top left corner of the mat. And then making sure that the left heel is on the floor, you start pulling the kneecaps up on the inhale, bringing your hands parallel to the floor. Exhale, you're leaning forward, placing the hands on the shin or on the inside of the ankle. Left hand up towards the ceiling, palms facing away from you. You're looking either straight ahead or towards your left hand. Now secure the lower back by pulling the kneecaps up, keeping the legs straight. On the inhale, you're lengthening the right side of your rib cage, making sure that the right side of the rib cage is parallel to the floor. On the exhale, you're turning the torso towards your left, and you're looking either straight ahead or towards your left hand. Now, keeping the left hand pointing up towards the ceiling so the arm doesn't come back behind you when you're doing the rolling. You're rolling that left shoulder back, so the movement happens on the shoulder, not on the arm. Make sure you're still keeping the legs active. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, looking down towards the floor. Exhale, you bring in your hands parallel to the floor. Inhale, hands on the hips, and exhale, you step into the front of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, we're gonna do warrior 2. So we're coming to the front of the mat, hands on the hips. You're stepping with a long step with your right foot, and you're placing the right foot so that the edge of the foot is parallel to the back of the mat, and the toes are pointing towards the side of the mat. Now, make sure that the leg is straight, and you're placing the weight onto the edge of the foot so that you're lifting the inside of your arch, and then you're sort of trying to roll that leg towards the outside, okay? And now concentrating onto the front leg, you're bending the front leg. You still want to see the big toes. Eventually you want to have the thigh parallel to the floor with the knee never going over the toes. Now sitting between the legs, so don't lean forward, you're sitting in between the legs. And on the next inhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor. Roll the shoulders away from you. Keep your arms as straight as you can. Make sure that the back arm is not pointing down, is parallel to the front. So you're creating a T with your body. And you're turning to look towards your left hand, but you're gently turning the torso towards your right. Making sure that that left knee doesn't come in. You keep on tracking that left knee out. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Make sure you're still placing the weight onto the outside of your edge of the foot so that you're lifting that inside arch. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. Last breath here. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, straighten the front leg, hands on the hips, take a short step with the back foot, and then you're stepping to the front of the mat. Gonna do it on the other side. Feet together, hands on the hips, you're stepping with the left foot out, quite a long stance. So depending on how long your legs are, you're adjusting the stance so that eventually you can have your thigh parallel to the floor. Yeah, so that's the stance you want to take. And eventually you're gonna get to the point where the thigh is parallel to the floor. So the left foot is pointing towards the edge of the mat. You're placing the weight on the edge of the foot, so you're lifting the inside of your arch. And then you're bending the front leg with the knee pointing out towards the right side. So you still want to see the big toes, sitting in between the legs. On the next inhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor. Roll the shoulders away from you, squeeze the shoulder blades together, arms active, almost as if somebody is pulling you from different direction from the hand, and you're resisting that, okay? You're looking towards your left hand, and you're turning slightly the torso towards your left, but be careful that your right knee doesn't come in. So you're still guiding it out. Inhaling to the count of 5, suck the belly in, engage the core, exhaling to the count of 5. One more breath here, inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor, straighten the front leg, take a short step with your left leg and come to the top of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, so come to the top of the mat, and we're stepping out so that you're basically standing with by the edge of the mat. So you go about 3 to 4 feet in between the legs, and this time both feet are pointing towards the edge of the mat.
with the weight onto the edges of the feet, so you're lifting the inside of your arches. On the next inhale, bring your hands parallel to the floor. Exhale, interlace the fingers behind your back. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, open the chest, and exhale, you're folding forward at the hips, trying to bring the top of the head down towards the floor, bringing your arms over the head, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And now bring the weight into the middle of the feet. So you're not leaning too much on the toes and you're not leaning too much on the heels. Letting go of the head, so you're basically trying to point the top of the head down towards the floor, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5. And then on the next inhale, come all the way up. Place your hands on the hips. Bring the heels towards the center, toes towards the center, heels towards the center, and you're coming to the top of the mat. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, so we're gonna do a balancing pose and then we're gonna go into the sitting poses, okay? So you're placing all your weight onto the left leg, tiptoes of the right, and imagine that your lower leg is sunken down into some mud, okay? So it's really stuck in mud. And clench your left glute, so you're activating the hip stabilizers. And then hands on the hips, you're lifting the right leg off the floor and you're turning the knee out and you're placing either the foot on the inside of your calf, or you're grabbing hold of the foot and you're placing it on the inside of your left thigh. Don't bring the foot on the inside of the knee, so it's either above or below the knee. Knee out to the sides, hands on in front of your chest. Now fix your gaze on a fixed spot in front of you. If you feel like you want to do it, then you bring your arms up towards the ceiling. Ooh, I'm losing balance. Roll the shoulders away from you, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and you're keeping your arms as straight as you can, so you're really feeling the stretch onto the sides of the rib cage. And then very gently start bringing the hands back towards the center, hands on the hips. Now turn the leg towards the front, straighten the right leg, and then release it down onto the floor. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, the other side. So balancing your weight onto the right leg, tiptoes of the left toes, clench the right glute, just imagine that your leg is sunk in mud, and then lift the left leg off the floor and either the foot on the inside of the thigh or just underneath the knee joint into the calf. Hands in front of your chest, fix your gaze on a fixed spot in front of you. And when you feel balanced enough, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, rolling the shoulders away from you, keeping the arms as straight as you can. And then on the next inhale, bring your hands in front of your chest, hands on the hips, turn the left leg forward, straighten the left leg and release it. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay, so now what you want to do, you want to first of all get access to some music, because the first pose that we're going to do, we're going to be cross-legged onto the floor, but we're sort of doing a dynamic pose, so that we're sort of moving around into the pose, okay? So you can use the block. You need to be able to be comfortable in this position because we're gonna be there for quite a long time, okay? So what you want to do, you want to bring yourself onto the floor, cross-legged on the mat. But if you're finding that your knees are too high up, you need to prop yourself up so that basically the knees are comfortable, and you can also use support for your knees, okay? So put the music on. You basically need to choose a tune now that you're happy to dance to, okay? Because we're sort of gonna try for the next 3 or 4 minutes to just go into different poses while we're here, okay? So we're basically moving around, trying to find where it is that you have tension in the body. So I let you get ready. Find the music. I cannot put music in here, so you need to find your own tune, okay? Okay. So now we're gonna be cross-legged onto the floor, hands on top of the knees, and then starting to listen to the music, you start to move around into the pose. So very gently, you're almost dancing at this point, okay? You want to make sure that you're keeping the core muscles engaged. Now have the music so that you can listen to it, but you can still listen to my voice and my instructions, okay? So we're starting by basically moving the back. So we're curving the back on the inhale, and we're pushing the chest forward on the exhale. And then we're doing this in a sort of, you're dancing with the music, okay? So you're sort of doing it at the rhythm of the music, and you can also do a little bit of a turning. Okay, and now start also, you're using the core muscles all the time. So you're sort of bringing your chest forward, engaging the core. And then if you want, you can also do a little bit of a side bend. So try to come to the rhythm of the music. So you're sort of dancing into the poses, but at the same time is a fluid movement. So we're not trying to do anything here, but at the same time also scan the body and notice if there's any area of the body that feels tight as you're doing this. And then just looking, circling the head, looking down and up. So you're repeating the movements. So you're sort of feeling that everything is starting to loosen up. And at the same time, you're feeling also any area of the body that feels tight, okay? So bring the shoulders up at different levels. So you're feeling the area in between the shoulder blades and also the area of the neck. Looking up, looking down, circling the head. So the movement is fluid. We're gonna do 1 more minute of this, and then we're gonna go into the more stable position, okay? So what we're trying to do now, we're trying to loosen up the body, and then on the next 3 moves, we're basically trying to activate the fascia. So we're gonna do what is called a myofascial release, yeah? So what happens is the fascia is a connective tissue that basically connects everything in the body. So it's like this, a very flimsy sort of tissue that wraps around all the organs and all the muscles. And apparently it develops during the embryonic stage, and it's one single sheet that basically wraps around and turns and wraps in things, and that's why they believe is all connected, and is also what the acupuncturists use for changing, for moving the energy along the body. Okay, so now come into a more still position. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna start first with the lower back, okay? So you need to get hold of a few pillows. Now, you want to choose music that is a little bit calmer at this moment. You also don't need to use music at this stage, okay? If you might use a couple of pillows in front of you, what we're gonna do, we're gonna fold forward, and we're gonna stay there for 3 minutes. It takes the fascia 3 minutes to sort of get activated. What you need to do is you need to fold forward to a point where you're feeling 60% of the stretch, okay? But once you get into the position, then you're gonna stay in the same position. Don't bounce and don't come in and out of it. So you're staying in the position, you're maintaining the position. That's when you're using the pillows. You can also not use them, but I would suggest that at the beginning you do. And then you're staying in that position. What you will notice, so we're gonna do it together, and then I'm gonna talk you through it. So have your legs in front of you, toes pointing up towards the ceiling. Release the flesh away from the buttock. And then start engaging with the core muscles. So you're having your hands either side of the bum, fingers pointing down towards the floor, towards the toes, and then activate the core muscle. You want to keep your core muscle activated at all times, okay? So pull, squeeze the bum hole, suck the belly in, open the chest, tuck the chin under. Now, this is when you're taking the pillows, if you believe you're gonna need them, and you're placing them just underneath the belly, you can put it also alongside the body, okay? On the next inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling, and exhale, you're folding forward at the hips. So you want to have your core muscle engaged at all times. So if you're here, just stay here. Now tuck your chin under and make sure you've got enough pillows so that you can stay in this position for about 3 minutes, but you're also having an active posture, okay? So I'm gonna count down to 3 minutes. What you'll notice is that you're feeling the stretch now on the back of the legs. Make sure you're still pointing the toes up towards the ceiling, so you're not flopping into this position. The position is active. The pillows are only there to sort of support you a little bit, okay? And then after you're here for a little bit, then you notice that the pain starts to travel. So it might be going lower down on the leg. It might start spreading into your lower back. What you want to do, you start sucking the belly in, open the chest, and fold forward. So we're gonna stay in here for about 3 minutes, lengthen the breath. So you're using the breath to open up different parts of the body. So now, for example, I'm feeling it right on my right leg and on the calves. And now the legs are starting to tremble a little bit. So what you need to do, you need to relax it. So you basically need to allow it to relax it. The moment you allow it to relax it, it's almost like you're opening the highway, and then the energy starts to flow again onto the legs. So if you're feeling that your legs are trembling, maybe you can bend the knees a little bit, and you're trying to allow everything to move, okay? I'm gonna go a little bit lower down because that's where my stretch is. You want to be feeling 60% of the stretch, okay? But as you're stretching here, you will feel that the pain moves around and that the stretch sort of deepens, and this is where, when it starts to travel, you know that you are affecting the fascia. Okay, we're halfway there. We're gonna need 1 more minute, and then we're gonna come out of the posture. In and into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. Just, you're almost surrendering to the pose. So you're allowing it to do the best you can. So now, for example, I'm feeling on my right hip. So my right leg is always the one that struggles more. So I'm feeling the stretch more and more now. I'm feeling on my right hip. So now I need to just allow it to relax so that it travels around. So I'm allowing the energy and the stretch to deepen by just relaxing into it. Okay, just the last few breaths here. Make them count. Inhale into the count of 5. Breathe into the area that feels tight. Exhale into the count of 5. Last breath. Inhale into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. Now very gently you're coming out of the pose on the inhale. Oof. That was intense, right? And then you're bending the legs slightly and just give yourself a little bit of a shake. Okay. Now straighten the legs. We're gonna do the next one. The next one is broken down into 2 because we're turning one side and then the other. This time, we've been working on the legs and on the lower back. Now we're working on the upper back, okay? So you're hugging the right knee towards the chest and you're placing the right foot over the left leg. You're activating the left leg by pointing the toes up towards the ceiling. Now, it is very important that as you're doing this posture, you're activating the core muscle. So you shouldn't be leaning on your right arm. You're standing upright using the core muscle. And this is when you get the best of the myofascial release. Okay, so right hand behind you, left hand up towards the ceiling. Inhale, suck the belly in. Try to create a space between the thigh and the torso so that you're turning the torso towards your right. You can hug the knee towards your chest or bring in your left elbow on the outside of the right knee, okay? Now, make sure your core is activated, your chin is dropped towards the chest and you're turning towards your right hand. You should feel a stretch onto the middle, in between the shoulder blades, okay? Point the toes up, activate the left leg. On the inhale, you're lengthening the spine. On the exhale, you're turning towards your right. We're staying here for 1.5 minutes. So I'm gonna start counting now. And then you should feel almost like there is a burning starting in between the shoulder blades, okay? And then you should just allowing it to relax. If your core muscle is engaged and your spine is upright, you're safe in this position. So just allowing it to open. Inhale into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. So I'm feeling it in the middle of my back. But now it's traveling into my right armpit. Just surrender to the pose. Breathe nice and long into any area that feels tight. So as you're breathing into the air and you're surrendering to the pose, you're allowing the further stretch. You're at 60% here, so you don't want to feel more than 60% of the stretch. Nice and long breaths, allowing everything to open. And then come back to the center. We're gonna do a little bit of stretching. So hug the knees towards the chest, release the leg, and just do a little bit of stretching before we go into the other side. So bring the shoulders alternatively towards the ears. So you're giving yourself a little bit of a stretch, swinging slightly from side to side. And then we're gonna do it on the other side. So hug the right knee towards the chest, bring the left foot over the right leg. So you're hugging the left knee, sorry. Extend the right leg by pointing the toes up towards the ceiling. Left hand behind you, right hand up towards the ceiling. Inhale, suck the belly in, engage the core, turn towards your left, hugging the knee to the chest, or bringing the right elbow on the outside of the left knee. You're using the left hand to turn the torso towards your left, chin parallel to the floor, and you're looking towards your left shoulder. So you're feeling now the stretch onto the space in between the shoulder blades, but it also goes into your left shoulder blade. Keep the active pose by keeping the core muscle engaged. Inhaling to the count of 5 and exhaling to the count of 5. Nice and long breaths. Scanning the body, checking if you need to have a little bit more of a stretch to activate that fascia again, and just finding out where is the tightness. Breathing into that area. Last 2 breaths here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Inhaling to the count of 5. And exhaling to the count of 5. On the next inhale, come back to the center. Release the leg down onto the floor, and again we're going to do a little bit of movement. So we're sort of alternating, bringing the shoulders up towards the ears. We can also move from side to side. It's quite a deep stretch. You can feel that the whole of the middle of the back and the upper back is sort of starting to work. Okay, last one. This time we're going to do the neck, okay? Be careful on the neck because we tend to have a lot of tension. So prop yourself up so that you're basically, so your legs are forward. You need to sit upright, okay? So if you need pillows to do that, do so. And then what we're going to do now, we're sitting upright, so the core muscle is engaged. It's quite important that the spine is upright. So if you need the pillows, please do use them. I'm going to use a block. You can also cross your legs here if you want to, whatever feels more comfortable for you. Then what you're going to do now, engage the core, sit upright, chin to chest. Now what we're going to do for 20 seconds, so we're not going to do it longer than the others. We're going to go into position where we're tucking the chin to the chest and we're staying here. Roll the shoulder back. Let the weight of the head sort of stretch the neck in this position. Roll the shoulder back. Make sure you're not tensing up. And you're dropping the chin to the chest so that you're getting 60% of pain and stretch, okay? Breathing into this area, surrendering to this pose, so you're sort of really letting it go and allowing it to open. 2 more breaths here. Inhaling to the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5. Inhaling to the count of 5, exhaling to the count of 5, and then look straight ahead, do a little bit of shoulder shrubs and turning them back. Now we're going to look up towards the ceiling. So engage the core, make sure you're sitting upright and look up towards the ceiling, 60% of the stretch. Releasing the shoulders. You can close your eyes and really breathe into the area that feels stretched. So I'm feeling it right at the base of the neck and also going a little bit lower down into where I get a block, which is like in between the shoulder blades really. Breathe into the area, shoulders back, releasing and opening up. And then on the next inhale, you're looking straight ahead. We're going to look towards your right. So again, see what your full range of movement is. Start at 60%. Roll the shoulders back. Chin parallel to the floor. And you're just allowing it to open. Nice and long breaths. And then very gently, you're just deepening the stretch until you get at 80%. But you can see it changing, and you can feel that sometimes the stretch starts at the neck and then it transfers into the shoulder blade or into the shoulder. Just drop the shoulders back, don't tense up. One more breath here, in and into the count of 5, and exhale into the count of 5. And come back to the center. Just give yourself a little bit of a release on the neck. And the other way around. And we're going to do the other way around. So we're going to turn the head towards the left, 60%. So check how big is your movement. And then go at 60%. Roll the shoulders back. Core is engaged. Nice and long breaths. You're allowing yourself to stretch. Most likely, the right shoulder comes up to shorten the stretch, okay? So drop that right shoulder back and deepen the stretch a little bit more, allowing the fascia to stretch. Last breath here, in and into the count of 5, and exhale into the count of 5. And then come back to the center. Big, nice and long movements. So bringing the shoulders up towards the ears. And then rolling the head a little bit. Noticing if there is now a little bit more tightness, but it could be because you're basically trying to stretch it so the body is just seizing up. But eventually it will let it go. Now we're trying to bring the ear towards the shoulder at 50% of your stretch, okay? Roll the shoulders back, let the head drop to the side. Breathing into that areas that stretch. So for me, I've got a lot of tension onto my left shoulder and the base of the neck on the left side. We're not doing too much of this because it can cause a bit more of a seizing up. So last breath here, in and into the count of 5. Exhale into the count of 5. And then bring the head back to the center. Just turn the head right and left for a little bit. And now straight ahead, drop the side of the head. So you're trying to bring the ear towards the shoulder. On the left side, dropping the right shoulder, breathing into that right side, allowing it to open. So you're doing 50% here, and then if you feel confident, you can deepen the stretch by just letting go of the head. One last breath here, in and into the count of 5. Exhaling to the count of 5, and you're coming back up. Bring your arms up towards the ceiling. Give yourself a long stretch. And then hands on top of your, come into a cross-legged position if your legs were forward. Hands in front on your knees, and just start creating a little bit of movement again as we did for the first one. Just feeling the tension in everywhere. So you might feel that you're feeling a little bit stiff at the moment. It's just because you've allowed all of a sudden everything to stretch, and we're trying to constantly hold it together, and by you releasing it, it's almost like the body is not comfortable with it. So, but you will find that throughout the day that you'll feel more and more relaxed and more released into this area. Okay, so now we're going to come into the last pose, which is the Shavasana. So we're lying down onto the floor. You can bring the knees
knees to the chest for a second, chin to chest, and release yourself here. You can also rock from side to side. And then when you're ready, just come into Shavasana with the feet as wide as the mat, flopping the feet to the sides, tilting your pelvis under, opening the arms out to the side, chin to chest. And as we worked throughout the whole of the back, just want you to start scanning yourself. So what we're going to do for the next few minutes, as we're relaxing here, we're going to start scanning the body all the way from the head, relaxing the head onto the floor, and then just check how your neck is.
Go onto the base of the neck, traveling to the top of the shoulders, all the way into the shoulders, feeling how the shoulders feel. It's very important that now, as you're relaxing the body and you're not doing any stretching, that you're sending the breath into these areas and just talk to them almost. So you're giving them some kisses into the areas that really felt stretched as you were doing the exercises. And just talk to them and say, it's all right, you can let go, you can relax, and send the breath there to just consciously relax these areas, the shoulders, the neck, traveling down in the area between the shoulder blades, and also sort of walk around, so with your mind, to walk around the edges of the shoulder blades into the shoulder blades, and just scan them and allowing them to relax. Traveling down into the middle of the back, again just scanning with your mind, checking for any areas that felt particularly stressed as you were doing the movements, and then just remembering what areas felt particularly uncomfortable as you were doing all the different moves where we stayed a little bit longer so they had time to get activated, and just allowing them to relax. You're traveling now down onto the lower back, breathing into the whole of your back. So from the head, you're breathing into the whole of your back, into the legs, and through your feet, you're letting go of any tension that you feel it was building up in the body. So as you're breathing in, the energy comes from the head, travels through the back, and goes out from the legs into the feet, away from the feet. Last few breaths here. Just focus your full attention into any area where that felt particularly uncomfortable as you were doing all the moves. Concentrate on the areas and just allowing them to relax, and nourishment and warmth. Now very gently take a deep breath in through your nose and sigh out through your mouth. Bringing the awareness back to the whole of your body. Take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you sigh out through your mouth, start wiggling your toes. And take a deep breath in through your nose, and as you sigh out through your mouth, start wiggling your fingers. And now very gently bring one knee at a time towards your chest, and you can either rock back and forward until you're coming up into a cross-legged position onto the mat, or you can roll yourself onto your right side, stay there for a breath or two, and push yourself up with the aid of your left arm into a cross-legged position onto the mat. Place your hands in front of your chest, close your eyes, And just first of all, remind yourself of the intention you set out at the beginning of the class, but also make a mental note of how often you were able to just tune in with the body and the breath, and how often your mind just wandered off. Thank you for practicing today. Can you just let me know